never wanted to live there. Not really. But when life strips you of choices, even the worst ones start looking like lifelines. The apartment was cheap, suspiciously so. It was the only thing I could afford after losing everything. My job, my savings, my sense of security, gone. I'd scrolled past the listing twice before finally calling. No deposit, no background check, just a key and an envelope taped to the door. The moment I stepped inside, I felt it. It was small. One room, a closet-sized bathroom, and a window facing the brick wall of another building. The air was stale. The walls were stained with shadows of things that used to hang there. And the silence? It wasn't peaceful. It was the kind of silence that makes your ears ring. But I unpacked anyway. What choice did I have? That first night, I couldn't sleep. I lay on the floor, curled under my jacket, eyes wide open in the dark. The ceiling above me felt low, like it was slowly pressing downward. Every time I started to drift off, I'd hear something. Not a noise exactly, but a pressure, a shift in the air. The room breathed around me. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. By morning, my chest was tight with exhaustion, but I told myself it was just nerves, a new place. I'd get used to it. I didn't. The second night, something changed. I had just turned off the bathroom light and laid back down when I noticed it. A small, clean hole in the wall across from me. Perfectly round. At eye level. It hadn't been there before. Or so I thought. It made my skin crawl. I stared at it for a long time, trying to convince myself it was nothing. A nail hole. Old wiring. Something explainable. But I couldn't leave it alone. I got up, knees cracking, heart thudding. I leaned forward and peeked inside. Red. Blinding, flashing red. A deep pulsing glow like a warning beacon, but slower. Like it had a heartbeat. It flooded into my eye, burning, sharp and vivid, as if it wasn't light at all but something living. I gasped and stumbled back, clutching my face. The pain was immediate, like staring into the sun, but worse. I ran to the bathroom, flicked on the light, and splashed water on my face over and over. My reflection looked pale, sick, frightened. I didn't look back at the hole. I grabbed the first thing I could, a hoodie from my bag, and shoved it against the wall, jamming it into the hole until I couldn't see any trace of that light. Then I sat in the corner, shaking, watching the wall. I didn't sleep at all that night either. The shadows in the corners felt deeper now. My ears felt full of static, like the silence had teeth. I couldn't stop imagining something watching me through that hole, something waiting. The next night, curiosity dragged me back. It had been eating at me all day. That red light, the heat behind it, the way it felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. I needed to see it again, needed to understand. I pulled the hoodie away, but this time, there was no light. What I saw made my stomach drop. It was a room, my room, same size, same walls, same layout, but everything was ruined. The walls were scratched deep, like someone had clawed at them for hours. The wallpaper was shredded, hanging in strips like old skin. The light bulb on the ceiling flickered erratically, barely clinging to life. The furniture looked like mine, but twisted, broken, covered in stains and dust like it had been abandoned for decades. It was my room, but not my room, like something had copied it wrong. I backed away slowly, hands shaking. I called the landlord. My voice cracked as I explained what I saw, how wrong it was. He just stammered, awkward and dismissive. Oh, it must be, I don't know, some ball or something. Kids, maybe? Blah, blah. Don't worry about it. I hung up on him before he finished. I didn't want to hear him pretend this was normal. That night, I stared at the hole from across the room. I didn't plan to look again, but I did. One last time, just for a second. I leaned forward, and through the hole, a tall, human-shaped shadow passed by, just for a blink. Fast, silent, It was gone before I could even breathe. But it was real. I know it was real. That was it. I was done. I grabbed my bag, already packed, just in case, and ran. I didn't even go through the door. I climbed out the window and sprinted down the alley barefoot, heart punching through my ribs. I used what little I had left to check into a hotel across town. One room, one bed, one light that stayed on all night. I stayed there for weeks, but the thing is, I don't think it stayed behind. Because even here, sometimes, when the light flickers, when the air goes still, I swear I feel it. The shadow, still watching, still following, waiting for me to sleep. This happened last summer, and I still don't have an explanation. I'm a 19-year-old guy, and I had just moved into my first apartment. Small, one-bedroom place in a quiet part of town. Nothing fancy, just something I could afford while going to community college. My building was old but clean. The kind of place where the walls are thin and the light switches click weird. I'd only been there about 2 weeks when this happened. It was a Thursday night. Around 11 p.m., I was home alone, sitting on the couch with a bowl of cereal, watching some documentary on YouTube. Nothing scary, nothing dark, just something to fall asleep to. There's a long hallway that connects my living room to the bathroom and bedroom, and about halfway down that hall is this old mirror mounted to the wall. It came with the apartment, kind of a tall vintage thing with cracks in the silver backing. I always found it a little creepy, but I'd gotten used to walking past it. That night, I glanced at it without thinking, and stopped, because I saw someone standing in the hallway, in the mirror. It was only for a second, but enough to see that it wasn't me. I was sitting on the couch, and the figure was standing behind me in the reflection. Tall, still, shadowed. When I turned around, no one was there. I got up slowly and checked the whole apartment. Every closet, under the bed, behind the shower curtain. Nothing. I even checked the front door. Still locked, deadbolt still turned. I convinced myself it was just a trick of the eye. Maybe the reflection of the coat rack, or a shadow from the window. I went to bed with my bedroom light on. Nothing happened for the next few days. Then, Sunday came. That night, I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom, door open, when I heard a creak from the hallway. I froze, slowly turned my head toward the mirror. And again, someone was standing behind me. This time, I didn't turn around. I just stared at the mirror. The figure didn't move. It didn't flinch. But I swear, it was closer than before. I shut the door and stayed in the bathroom for almost 20 minutes. When I finally came out, the hallway was empty. The reflection showed nothing. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I bought a curtain and covered the mirror. For a few weeks, nothing else happened. I started to feel stupid about the whole thing. I told one of my friends, who laughed and said I was just paranoid from living alone. But then one night, I was FaceTiming my sister. We were talking for about 20 minutes when she suddenly stopped mid-sentence and squinted at the screen. Wait. Is someone with you? I shook my head. Number Y? She looked weirdly serious. I just saw someone walk behind you. Like, in your hallway. I spun the camera around. Nothing. But the curtain covering the mirror? It was folded up. Neatly. Placed on the floor. I hadn't touched it in weeks. I ended the call, grabbed my keys, and stayed at a friend's place that night. The next day, I went back with him to check things out. Again, nothing. No signs of a break-in. Nothing moved or stolen. Everything looked untouched, but something felt wrong. Like the air was too still. I decided to take the mirror down completely. We tried unscrewing it, but it was bolted in deep, so I just draped a thick blanket over it and taped it down. I thought that would be the end of it, until last week. I woke up around 3:30 in the morning to the sound of something tapping. Not knocking, not banging, just this slow, deliberate tapping noise. It was coming from the hallway. I didn't move, just listened. Then, a pause. Then, scrape. like something dragging across the wall. I finally got up, slowly opened my door. The hallway was dark, but the blanket over the mirror was gone, and the mirror was clean, spotless. But that wasn't the worst part. In the reflection, I could see into the living room, and sitting on the couch, my couch, was me, or something that looked just like me, head down, smiling, and tapping its fingers on the armrest. I slammed my door and haven't opened it since. I don't know what it wants, but every time I get close to sleep I hear it again. Tap, 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 like it's waiting for me to look. This happened about 2 years ago, and I still think about it almost every night before bed. I was 17, living with my mom in a small 2-bedroom townhouse in a quiet neighborhood. The place was tucked away on a side street, and the back of the house faced a thin strip of woods. Not deep enough to be a forest, but thick enough that you couldn't see through it, especially at night. One Friday night, my mom went out to visit my aunt across town. She told me she'd be back late, around midnight. I didn't mind. I ordered pizza, turned on a horror movie, and sprawled out on the couch with our dog, Scout. It was raining outside, not heavy, but constant. Just that soft, steady rain that makes the house feel extra quiet. Around 10:45 p.m., I got up to do a quick load of laundry. Our laundry room is on the first floor, right next to the kitchen. It's basically a narrow walk-in closet with a washer, dryer, and shelves above them. I tossed my clothes in, started the washer, and closed the door. Scout barked once, sharp and fast. I figured he heard thunder or something. 10 minutes later, I was back on the couch scrolling through my phone when I heard a weird noise. Something like shifting metal. Faint, but not a house noise. More deliberate. I paused the movie. Listened. It came again. A clank. Like something behind the dryer had moved. I walked to the laundry room and opened the door. Everything looked normal. But Scout was growling, low, tail stiff, staring into the corner behind the dryer. The noise didn't come again. I figured maybe something fell off a shelf. I told Scout he was just being paranoid, gave him a treat, and closed the door. I didn't open it again until the next morning, and that's when I found it. Wedged behind the dryer, barely sticking out, was a cell phone. Not mine. Not my mom's. It was an old model. Scratched screen. Dead battery. I pulled it out and just stared at it for a few seconds. Totally frozen. There was no reason a random phone should be back there. I didn't tell my mom right away. I charged it overnight, and when it finally powered on, there was no lock screen, no passcode, just a black wallpaper, only one photo in the gallery. It was a picture of me, from behind, standing in the laundry room, taken through the crack in the door. You could see my head, my hoodie, the washer just to my right. Scout was in the photo too, mid-growl. I don't even remember closing the door that much. I showed it to my mom the next morning. She called the police, but there was nothing they could really do. No prints, no leads, no signs of forced entry. We added a security system that week. Cameras, window alarms, the whole thing. Nothing happened after that. Until last week. I'm 19 now, at college. I came home for the weekend to see my mom. She still lives in the same place. We were watching a movie around 11 p.m. when I remembered something in the laundry room. I'd left a charger in the shelf last time I visited. I got up, opened the door, and reached for it. And then I heard it again. That shifting metal sound, behind the dryer. But the scariest part wasn't the sound. It was the vent cover on the wall behind the dryer. It was slightly open, and I swear to you I saw fingers, pulling back slowly into the dark. I didn't say a word. I closed the door, locked it, and told my mom we were staying at a hotel for the night. We had the police come the next morning. They found an old access panel in the wall behind the dryer, leading to a narrow crawl space between units. Not even big enough for an adult to fully stand, but they found things inside. A blanket, empty food wrappers, and dozens of photos. None of us in them. Just laundry rooms. Some with people in them. Some empty. Some looked like screenshots from cameras. The police are still investigating. That's all they'll tell us. But last night, my mom called me again. She said the dryer had started rattling, just a little, like something behind it was shifting.